Hey, Jack. All right. You got this stuff?
Yeah. All cleaned and oiled.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Let's get it on.
Who are these guys?
It's my theme music. Every good hero should have some.
Live from Springfield, Missouri, the one, the only, Keith Green.
Excuse me, can I get a cup of coffee? Black? Can't you see we talking? White?
Good morning, all.
Good morning.
How we doing?
Well, I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
You know, I'd like to think that I'm doing kind of all right. Says the man who is looking at probably having one of those days.
Oh, well, let's let's make this a fun show then.
We will definitely.
So you can have a better day.
I will definitely attempt to do that. And you know what? Thank you for wishing me a better day, Martin. And to everyone here, hello. Welcome to Morning Coffee with Keith. Again, with my good buddy, good friend, and probably the most valuable player, Martin. Missing John this morning, otherwise known as Big Bag John. But he's out doing John stuff, working, doing stuff. Hopefully, you're having a good day today, John. Miss you, buddy. And a good morning to everyone here in chat. Penny, D. Bud Martin, Anima Confusa, Dragon Ruse. Wow. So, today we're going to have something just a little bit special, something just a little bit different. What has happened in recent years is that in the entertainment industry, Hollywood in particular, we've become kind of used to basically IP. That's really what is king right now, IP, which is short for intellectual property. Building things around pre-established IP has become the norm for every studio out there, which is the reason why it seems like they've become truly obsessed, even more so than in the past, with new adaptations or remakes or sequels of other existing things. And not just of other movies, but of television shows, of Saturday morning cartoons, toys, board games, video games, everything, really. Although, again, what is normally criticized about this is the fact that it exists. Let me tell you, you're doing that wrong. Hollywood's always done that part. Always. Okay? But what makes these last few years different is that they are focusing almost exclusively on IPs. Now, some people are under the mistaken view that it's all related to comic book stuff. It's not. When I tell you to understand that it's all IP, I really do mean all of it. All of it. You know, you can't sit there and criticize Justice League and Aquaman without criticizing the upcoming new version of some television show that you watch. I mean, in recent years, we've had what, over the last 20 to 30 years, we have seen different television shows become the subject of big screen movies where we'll hire actors and actresses to play parts that, you know, we were used to seeing for free on network or over the air television. Not only have you seen now a lot of money spent on a lot of big screen versions of stuff like that, some successful, like The Fugitive with Tommy Lee Jones and Harrison Ford. Some not so much, like Bewitched.
Mm.
Yeah, that was, a lot of people keep forgetting that one. You know, as I've said once on another podcast.
I'll tell you this about The Witch. For me, that movie is a labor of love, but from my part, because man, I really, really love that TV show so much that I don't want to hate the movie.
You know what?
even though it's horrible.
No. Look, I tell people all the time, like or love what you love or like. I'm not here to tell you, you know, you're a bad person for liking stuff.
No. I don't like that movie, but man, I feel compelled by loyalty to say,
there's nothing
yeah,
wrong
the
with that.
movie exists.
There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you even have adaptations that, you know, give a nice, fresh take on something, you know, like the Equalizer movies. Now, I'm a big fan of the original Equalizer TV show. Love that thing. Love it. Denzel Washington's movies are fantastic. And Wolverine 626 says, Keith, did you see the announcement about the TV remake of The Avengers? I haven't seen that yet, but I hope that if they do it, that they encompass the whole of the Avengers and not just the few kitschy things that people seem to have become enamored with when it became this global phenomenon.
Wait, what Avengers are we talking about? Marvel's Avengers?
No. And that's, hey, it's a good thing you said it like that, because that's the exact way that it is.
Wait, before you again take us all to school, let me give the welcome to our dear friend Admiral T.
Hey,
Hello. Hi, guys. Nice
How
to
are
see
you?
everybody. I am just drinking my coffee and orienting myself, and glad that they got the heat back on in this building in time for my. It got bad to where my breath was fogging yesterday, but I'm feeling great today.
So
What's going on,
basically, you won't be able to make any side money renting out your place to hang meat.
Not anymore, but yesterday I certainly I went into the bathroom, and it's like, you know, like it was so cold in the apartment, you go into like almost a torpor, you're semi-hibernative, it's so cold, and you're like, after a while it's like, I really do have to get up and pee, and you think about that for like 25 minutes before you make yourself do it, because that bathroom was so cold. When I went in there, there was steam coming out of my mouth. I was like, oh my god, if they don't fix this soon, we're screwed. But they did get it back on at the last minute, thankfully.
Thankfully.
Maybe today I'll get to take a shower. I'm hoping that it builds up like enough reservoir of hot water, because when we did finally have that trickle of heat back, I went and jumped in the shower for a minute. It was like being stabbed with, like Jack said in Titanic, being stabbed with thousands of tiny daggers. It's like, okay, you know, get out and listen to my favorite James Horner song to relate to this. He wrote the Wrath of Khan soundtrack, so you know, My Heart Goes On is my favorite pop song.
Yeah, even though in that particular situation his heart was kind of slowing down, but hey,
it went on for a while longer though.
It did go on.
He didn't get pulled to the bottom, so it beat for a while. You know, The Titanic spaceball card. Do we have to update the back of it now? Because it's like 100 years later, the Titanic got 6 more millionaires. It's still like batting average on millionaires, like near 1,000, like batting 800 versus millionaires, like the Derek Jeter of millionaire killers.
You know, I know this is going to sound kind of bad to people, but I like the movie, but there was still room on that to have Jack up there. That's all I'm going to say. There was room enough up there for him. I will never, ever argue it the other way. There's room.
They gave him too big of a piece of wood. They gave her too big of a piece of wood. But the thing that really, I guess, sells it for me, and I think she's really pretty and all that, and there's nothing wrong with the way she looks at all. She's really good looking in that movie and still now. But when they're on the board, like Leonardo at that point in his life was so wafy when they're holding on to the bed. What is it, like the headboard of a bed, maybe, or part of like some piece of like really nice looking mahogany furniture? It seems it's come apart, and they're just hanging on it. And when we see them from in front, and he like commits to go into the water and let her hold on to the raft, her back's like 3 times wider across than his because he was so thin and small and wafy young. Like he was atypically thin. I don't think it was really so much her, but it was still funny to behold. I'm like, okay, they can definitely make it.
Yeah, they could have made it. I mean, look. I'm about to say something that I know I shouldn't say, but it's really not that bad. Look, they could have just like, hey, we could go all Kama Sutra. You know, there's a way they could have laid on that.
we can survive and stay relatively warm, Rose.
Just say it.
Oh my God. Near, far, wherever you.
I mean, you know.
Try spinning. That's a good trick.
I mean, if laying on the board, there wasn't enough room. There was definitely enough room if you got into a particular position or 3. So, but hopefully I didn't make too many people spit out their coffee this morning. But
I knew to put mine down when we started building up to this particular part of the topic. Because really, there's a couple of things in that movie that are a little bit weird, but the one thing I do approve of that I heard of from James Cameron, he's so kooky and so anal about these things, that the one thing they redid in the director's cut was instead of using traditional Hollywood methods to put the stars in the sky, he studied the star maps of where the stars would be and reproduced the exact night sky with the stars in the exact places they would have been according to drift back to 1912 or whatever, 1912, right? April 1912.
Yes.
As one of the survivors, I should remember, but as an immortal Highlander, I simply went to the bottom and walked the rest of the way to America. It was cold, but, you know.
Oh.
What can I tell you? I tried to warn them.
I know. It's a heavy burden. Anyway, as I was saying, when Admiral Teague showed up, I didn't hear about the announcement of a new version of the Avengers. I just hope that they adapt all of the characters of the Avengers and not just certain ones. I would like to see them. I've been saying for years that if they could at least do it in comics, to have the full roster of that team of the Avengers rather than just certain members. And what I mean is, here in America, when the Avengers television series became a hit, I think over here it became a hit, ironically, on ABC television. That was the 3rd incarnation of the Avengers television series. The 3rd incarnation of
Patrick McNee and Diana Rigg. They're team 3.
They're team 3.
It's like the Doctor Who that way. In America, everyone thinks that Tom Baker originates it and is the only Doctor Who because that's really all we got.
In fact, Patrick McNee's character was actually brought in to support the original lead character of the Avengers, which was Dr. David Keel. And David Keel was the original lead. who was supported by this quirky secret agent that he knew. And basically, it was called the Avengers because the lead character's fiance had been killed, and he was trying to make life better for Britain by going after people who seemingly got away with things, and teamed
So
up
he's the
with John.
Punisher.
Well, they didn't exactly do it that way. It was closer to being like
Hi, Brandon.
the Equalizer.
Okay.
And but it was the Equalizer. Instead of being one person to do all this, it was actually two people: a quote unquote normal guy who just happened to be a doctor, and this very out there secret agent by the name of John Steed. And remember, this is before John Steed started wearing the bowl hat and carrying around the umbrellas. In the first season of the show, he did not do that. And that was the Avengers. And then in the second incarnation of the Avengers, that's when Dr. Keel left and he was replaced by Kathy Gale. It was Honor Blackman who played the role. So she was the original.
Wow. How many James Bond leading ladies are going to be in this? That's two right there.
That's two. She was
Diana
the first
Rigg
one.
becomes
Yes.
the only ever Mrs. Bond.
That's
Teresa
what she.
Bond.
That's what she holds over the. That's what she holds over her. See, the thing is that she left doing the Avengers to do Goldfinger. That's how she got hired to be in Goldfinger, opposite Sean Connery. And she got hired from the show The Avengers. And so a few years later, then her replacement, who was Diana Rigg, ends up getting cast to be in
On Her Majesty's Secret Service. It's the
yeah.
outlier. Here's the thing, people. This one has the most important story to the rest of the Bond franchise, but it's the outlier actor. The thing is, they didn't trust him or something, so he's good. In that movie, he's really good, and we get a little bit kookier of a Blofeld, but he's, again, pretty good.
Yes.
And we get a real interesting fight on, like, with bobsleds, or they're luging. They just fight their way down a luge course, duking it out. It's great. It's one of the greatest moments of Bond, and it's got a great theme song, but it's an instrumental. It's just all John Barry and his orchestra. Maybe one of the greatest Bond themes. It's so good.
It is
View to a
so
Kill
good.
is based on it. And if you if we fast forward far enough, just to say this one, Patrick McNee makes it into View to a Kill as basically the same character he played in the Avengers, but not quite as tough.
So there you go. I mean, there are a lot of characters, and if you took the sequel series to it when they were filming new episodes in Canada, there are 3. So there are 4 women that have been partners of his and 2 men. See, people keep forgetting that the Avengers returned to television in the 80s.
That's right. So did Mission Impossible.
And anyway, I have not heard about this new show. I hope they use all those characters and bringing it back, and that would be great.
Dude,
I hope they specifically
it's the BBC. Look what they're doing.
Specifically disavow the movie would be a good idea too, because that movie was horrible. But I would ask you this, Keith.
Yeah.
Do you think we should go on and copy the aesthetic from the Avengers show, which became its own unique look because it was so austere in budget that whenever they're on the street, I don't think we ever see another person or a vehicle on that street. We only see very, very limited exteriors, and a lot of the sets are real dark. I mean, in that sense, it's perfect for today's TV, but they at least gave us interesting scenarios, like they'd end up in it would be dark and you couldn't see a whole lot, but they'd be like, we're stuck in a labyrinth full of traps beneath the bad guy's mansion. We have to like navigate our way through this Indiana Jones style.
Yeah.
And the show was, but we never saw any other people. We never saw we never saw a car driving down the street. You know what I mean? It was like them.
Well, that's the
Because of the
thing.
budget.
This is because when they got to Diana Rigg, that's what they started doing. Prior to that, it was London of its time period. In the first season, it's regular day London. There's people on the street and everything.
You think
Okay.
it's stock people on the street?
You
know what I mean? Was it B-roll?
No. I mean, it was like characters on the street. You'd see David Keel and John Steed walking amongst the people.
Buying a newspaper or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then in second season, when you had Kathy Gale, again, she was a normal person because she was at the club that she was, I think, someone who ended up working at the club that Dr. Keel and John Steed would go to. And she eventually became his partner, would help John Steed to go get the bad guys. And then she left and was replaced by Emma Peel. And
for everyone wondering, like Emma Peel is exactly what they did with Mimi Rogers in Austin Powers 1. That's basically a very comical, satirical parody of her.
Yes.
But it wasn't too far from what we got in real life as far as the campiness of the adventure, but they were always fun.
Well, that's the thing. Diana Rigg's character was meant to she was meant to try to update many of the things that her predecessor had done. For instance, Diana Rigg was not the first person to wear the cat suit and all of that. That was her predecessor. But she didn't wear it very often. She only wore it when she was going to do action scenes.
Wore it well.
Oh, both of them wore it well.
They wore it well.
They both. I tell people all the time, just Google The Avengers Season 2. The Avengers television series Season 2, and then Avengers television series Season 3 and Season 4, and I think Season 5. And yeah. One of those shows. Also, Brandon the Anime Guy has been a member for 10 months. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Seriously, do we have anything to play for Brandon, the Anime Guy?
Yes, I was waiting for you to give me.
Oh, you're waiting for me to shut up. Just say.
Well, I want to summarize the first minute of the show in which you were telling us about the phenomenon of the IP and everything, and I think this video sums it up.
You know the problem with Hollywood is? They make shit. Unbelievable, unremarkable shit.
You know what? Martin played that video so well. I don't have to say anything else other than it's a good movie that scene comes out of. It's one of my favorites because there's a certain actress in there.
Yeah, I think that's the general consensus.
Well, she's an Academy Award winner. That
there's that.
we that Hugh Jackman and pretty much every man watching that film gets to see her topless. So,
is it Jennifer Lawrence?
Actually, maybe. No, it's Halle Berry.
Ooh, I like that too.
Swordfish.
It would be much better to see. I would like to see her topless again without having to see Billy Bob Thornton in the frame at the same time because it was sort of a little weird.
Yeah, that's kind of
he looks so great, and Billy Bob, he's like not known really for his physique. He can act and he's funny, but he's like he is what he is. When he gets all naked, it's like here comes Dad Bod, and he's got like the hottest girlfriend in the world. It's like, why should I bother working out or dieting if he can pull this off?
Ariel, thank you, Ariel, and yeah, I look. I
Hope you're
will
feeling
admit,
well.
I am a man of a certain age, but I can't help it. I know what I know. You're either borrowing from all these different TV shows or other movies, or you're like Disney and instead just borrowing from yourself. There's a lot of people under the age of 30 that would not know the name Fred McMurray. But if you're a Disney fan of a certain age, you know who that is. You know a lot of the movies that he was in. And the fact that they took one of those films and remade it with Robin Williams in the Fred McMurray role. Okay.
The Swarm?
Nice, but not quite.
I figured I'd throw that one out there.
Yeah.
The first person we see, he kind of figures out that there's a swarm, but he's not around long enough to say much about it. Spoiler alert, this movie features bees. And maybe William Shatner for a minute too. I forget that movie.
But the movie with Fred McMurray, that was Flubber. And Disney ended up doing that one. I will say this. That was a good movie for what it was, but it was still a remake for a whole new generation. But today's show, I wanted to... well, everybody has their own ideas. I have mine of 3 franchises that could be revived. Every so often, when you go on for, it's Anime Guy.
Yes.
Gentlemen.
Hello.
Oh, that voice, man.
Why,
How are you?
hello. I am doing well. It has been way too long. I don't have a ton of time, but I do want to drop three of them for TV and then 3 of them for gaming. And actually for gaming, I'm just going to say 3 studios: Electronic Arts, Ubisoft, and any other woke wankers. They just need to give up all their IPs and let Japan run wild with it because they know what they're doing. Oh, that's right. It was EA, Ubisoft, and Capcom. They can all go straight. They can all go straight to Satan's butthole and do stuff with themselves there. They all suck. They're all wankers. They drive me crazy. But as far as TV series, it has to be, for me anyways, if they're for a series that does need to be redone, taken away, given to somebody else, it has to be Star Wars. It has to be Star Trek. And even though I know just the tiniest little bit about it, it has to be Doctor Who.
Okay.
For me, at least on the TV side, those are the 3.
Yeah.
Fortunately, on the TV side in Japan, I don't have to worry about Kamen Rider. I don't have to worry about any of that, campy, corny guy in a suit that can martial art himself out of anything. They're all fine.
Love it.
So those are all great ones. The Apple Dumpling Gang is great. Gargoyles is a really popular show that it came out a little later for me. I was 15, 16, 17, high school kid, didn't watch cartoons like that anymore.
Yeah.
But I remember my brothers did. And the Muppet Show was just classic, and it's so painful to see everything that Jim Henson created, whether it be through the Children's Television Workshop, whether it be through his own Muppet Studio, which is now owned by hashtag Duck Fisney. It's really painful to see all those things happen and change like that. So
yeah, it is painful. It's Disney's. Look, the only saving grace is that their money problems are precluding them from buying anything else. So they really can't go out and acquire anything else at this point. Although there are times I find myself leaning a little towards, well, maybe if Disney bought Paramount. And stripped it clean of at least a lot of its programming.
Well, they're both completely terribly ran studios. Although having any more studio combinations or paring down
Yeah, but
I'm not.
We
Yeah.
can't
Let me-
filter
let-
it anymore. There used to be what 12 or 15 different people
Yeah.
distributing
Well, there's
films
only
Yeah.
5.
before. Yeah, and that was in like 2008 till now. We've got almost nothing left.
let me
Mhm.
let me hit you with a rumor that I heard that I hope Admiral Teague is sitting down for. And this is the reason why I've been
Let me
having
put
that
down my
thought.
coffee.
Okay. Things are so bad with Paramount right now
Mhm.
that they're almost not really a quote unquote big studio anymore, given the number of financial problems they had.
Right,
And I
they
heard a rumor.
downgraded to Class B stock the other day, and it's
Uh-huh.
a month of Paramount Plus costs $2 more than a share of Paramount stock.
Wow.
So it's so bad. The rumor I heard is that a certain person whose name I really loathe to put out there is rumored to wanting to buy the rights to Star Trek.
Please say Seth MacFarlane.
Oh, it's not Seth MacFarlane. I would like it to be Seth MacFarlane. It's
That would be a step positive.
it's. Are you sitting down? Let's
I'm
have
sitting.
paramedics ready to go. The name I hear is the accursed one himself, the man behind K-Trek, Alex Kurtzman.
Oh, for
I
fuck's sake.
had heard that. I had heard that, so I'm not as shocked. But I would say, look what he's done to this. There's still one license unused that is held by the by what's left of that corporation. We don't know. The problem here is sheer confusion. And this so-called Picard movie that they're coming out with, it's going to be an all the above approach to try to get in under their contract. They're saying 1-day theatrical release. Star Trek's been a sham and a scam and a Ponzi scheme for a long time. And it's time for the Securities Exchange Commission to investigate how they sucked all the life out of this company. Because there's 5 good Yellowstone shows that are all very watchable. I watched all in 1923. It was one of the best things put on TV last year. Everything else on Paramount streaming app is fairly good. And they have these horrible Star Trek shows. And Martin suggested the reason the movies are gone is because they're leasing them out to Max to get enough money not to go broke long enough to get sold. And he may, in fact, be right. It looks like Star Trek is just a trash fire, on the Titanic, sinking fast and exploding over and over. It's bad.
Well, if it had anything
That's the situation. They don't flames, no, but they say, "Oh, don't worry. The fire will be put off by the sink, by the water, because we're sinking."
We're moving the deck chairs to the side of the ship that's not on fire and sinking.
Yes.
The bow of the ship has never been higher above the water than it is now. We've gone up 100 feet in the last 2 minutes. We're safe.
I will say this. If HBO, or I should say, if Max had anything to do with it, if Warner Brothers had any fingers in this, I know for a fact that a certain person that loves to get out that axe would make sure that K-Trek, as we now call it, would be very different. Because he does not stand. Yeah, that'd be Zaslav. He does not stand for people to waste his time and, more importantly, his money. You either start coming up with financial returns or you're gone.
And everyone in Hollywood now knows that these bad robot secret hideout ski-on companies put out really bad contracts, have terrible writers, but pretty good lawyers. So Zaslav would be wise to get rid of them.
Yeah. Well, he's allowing at least one JJ-related acolyte to remain around. And I still am trying to wrap my head around that.
That's going to mess you up. That's like saying, we're going to cure you, but you can keep smoking cigarettes.
That's right. Now, I know that there are people that enjoyed his movie, but I've already said before on this show how I think that movie is not that good. It's not a bad movie, but it's not as good as people keep saying.
09? I despise that movie. It's terrible. It's worse than I could ever put it to words.
I'm talking about the Batman. That is nothing more than just a really bad version of Seven. Is
I
really what it
mostly
is.
hated the Matt Reeves Batman. I mostly hated
Yeah,
that
Matt
movie.
Reeves, because Matt Reeves comes out of the JJ camp. He's
That's
one of
why that
JJ's
movie
people.
had no cause and effect. Things just sort of keep happening.
Yeah,
Makes me
And-
glad I didn't watch it.
And there's no ending. They go for
Yeah.
a Lord of the Rings thing. They pull three. They like, if we pretend the movie ends 4 or 5 times in a row, people will understand that it's over. So they end the movie like non-verbally for 20 minutes. It's
Yeah.
terrible.
It's just awful, and and again, you can't throw shade at Ben Affleck's script and talk about how you're going to be a real Batman fan, that you've read the comics, you're a big fan of Detective Comics, and then produce a script and a movie like that, where Batman and Commissioner Gordon are two of the dumbest people in the movie. I mean,
that sounds par for the course.
Go ahead, Brandon. I'm sorry.
It just sounds like modern woke wankery, just the standard par for the course modern Hollywood. Gotta subvert your expectations. Make the good guys the bad guys. Make the competent ones the incompetent ones, and make them all, well, as was put to so eloquently by Matt and Trey, put a chick in it, make it lame and gay. And that's exactly what they did. That's all of that one single phrase explains everything. It doesn't necessarily mean that the person is lame or the person is gay or that it's a chick, but it's the feeling of it, the fact that you knowingly go through, make these changes because you despise what you have.
Yeah,
that's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
And I do have to go. I have to get myself back to work. So, gentlemen, as always, it's good to see you.
A real pleasure, Brandon.
Yes, indeed. A real pleasure to be able to hang out for just a little bit. So you all take care. Have a great discussion, and we'll catch you all later.
Come back whenever you can, man.
Oh, thank you.
Please do so.
But you know, the thing about, let me wrap up what I'm about to say, what I've said before about the Batman and saying this. I don't think I would have minded if Matt Reeves had actually shown that he was truly a Batman fan and had actually read the comics. What it has done is it started corrupting people, because now you got people going, oh, this is definitely the Riddler. No, it's not the Riddler. The Riddler is not a serial killer. The Riddler doesn't take people out like that. I'm not saying the Riddler's never killed people, but not like that. The person for whom you are really wanting to attach this to, as far as the character in that movie, that's Professor Pig. That character is Professor Pig. I know there's still a lot of people going, who's that? Never heard of that character. Well, that shows how much of a Batman fan you truly are. Professor Pig is a serial killer who, get this is the twist, he not only dresses as a pig, he's a serial killer of serial killers.
That's cool. He's Dexter.
He was Dexter before Dexter.
That is really cool.
I'm telling you, Batman and Spider-Man not only are the two best, but they have the most well-developed universes in comics. Look at all of the.
They have awesome adversaries and awesome come and go partners, because Deadpool or someone like that is just as likely to be a problem for Spider-Man. Now, he won't kill someone like Deadpool, but they will slug it out through a whole issue of a comic before they come to terms, and then we'll find out they need to work together in the next issue to bring down, say, the Kingpin. But like Spider-Man and Batman, they'll run into people. They have such a huge rogues gallery. It's incredible.
And both of them are look, as far as I'm concerned, as far as single individual comic book characters, those two are the very best.
Here's my one thing I want to say about Matt Reeves' Batman. There was already a problem with Batman, and my heart goes out to Ben Affleck, who I believe understands the character and could direct a better Batman movie than we've seen since Returns.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, the problem with Batman is that Unfortunately, he's been poorly served for a really long time now, since Returns, maybe. And by the Matrix people are giving for Matt Reeves' movie being good, they're like, I like that in this movie Batman was a detective, and I hear you on that one. I hear you on that one, and that should be important to Batman's character, that he uses his intellect and tactics, because he's just a guy. A bullet will take him out. So I like when he's smart and sleuthing. But the fact of the matter is this: if I told you I added 10 additional minutes of Batman and Robin peering through binoculars and taking them away and then kind of looking vexedly into the distance, wistfully, and without any real expression, and then putting the binoculars back to their face, would that then make that movie 4-star Batman movie, or would it still be the problem that we have? You know what I mean? 10 minutes of him watching Catwoman, who is making out with another woman, and then that woman is then deleted, and they never talk about it. It was like, and that was no kind of really cool Batwoman, as much as I think Zoe Saldana was really good in other movies, like not Zoe Saldana, I'm sorry, Zoe Kravitz was really good in other movies like Fury Road. She's just in this she's not really a great Catwoman, but I mean, he's not really a great Batman, and he's an even worse Bruce Wayne. Like, I am so sure, Keith, that on the cutting room floor there's a line. It's like, Bruce, you can't do this. You're a heroin addict. And he's like, oh, that's just part of my act, so people won't think I'm Batman. Because I swear to God, this Bruce Wayne is on opiates.
Whatever he's
the
on.
Script was on opiates.
It allows him to survive explosions when he's standing right next to the device.
Yeah, too bad he couldn't put the rest of his city on it. He loses most of his city. He sucks as a guardian. He's the worst freaking guardian ever. And at the end of the movie, people should want him dead. They should not be celebrating him.
But every single person that loves this movie will tell you, "Oh, he was just beginning. It's only year 2." By year 2.
He was invulnerable to fucking assault. I'm sorry, he was invulnerable to assault rifle fire at point blank range. I'm supposed to be worried? That's halfway through the movie. He's gonna be fine.
By the time he started wearing the suit, he already had the whole stealth thing down. So there's none of this loud walking to get to the bad guys that's trying to rough up an innocent citizen like at the beginning of the movie. He would have just attacked them. None of this making them wait so that they could do what? Watch him walk up.
Well, that would have been the Zack Snyder move. It's like, well, we have to show him walking up every step, or people wouldn't understand that he walked up the stairs, and my movie might have some brevity. Come on, guys, we got a 4-hour runtime to bloat here, and I want to say, F you, Zack Snyder, for creating the impression Batman must be 4 hours long, because that's not true either. And like, that just destroys Batman as an IP, because the 2-hour watchable Batman movie gets one more showing a day. My cousin went to see the Batman in a theater. She had to now she's like a New York City school teacher, right? So think about like the hours she has to keep during the week. She's got to wake up at like 4:30 in the morning. You know what I mean? Be there like all full of vim and vigor at like 7 a.m. So on her day off, like you'd figure she'd want to sleep till like 1 o'clock. You know what I mean? No, she's up at like 7 a.m. at the theater watching the Batman, and she gets out in time to have brunch. And she's like, I don't know what to make of this movie. I was like, this is like, if they're shoehorning in 7 a.m. screening times for this movie. It's like, if I was a theater owner, I'd hate this movie. It's like, I got to pay all my people extra to come in and extra. There goes your profit. I mean, it was so long, prohibitively.
Hello?
I think I weighted it up on that. I can expand on it, though. It was also not short enough, as well as being too long.
Ariel, I'm sorry. Go.
Okay. Look, I get the fact that there are certain people out there that can listen to us and we sound like old guys yelling at clouds. My whole thing with Batman is this: if you're gonna try to tell people that you're a Batman fan, be a Batman fan. Have read the comics, understand the characters. There have been a lot of different interpretations of the characters over the years. I see nothing wrong with a lot of it. But the reason why I am so down on that movie is it's not only just a really bad remake of a much better film, but you can't be on and on about how much of a detective he is and then have the two smartest people in the movie get hung up on a word because it's in Spanish.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. You don't know Spanish. He's like, I don't know what these taco things are that they're eating all day, but I'm going to Taco Bell to check them out. I'll be slowly looking wistfully through my binoculars at them.
Yeah, it makes it impossible to believe that they're smart people. And
Okay. You're being too harsh. Remember, that bad computer doesn't have ChatGPT.
Alfred should be feeding punch cards into that thing. It's so inaccurate. That movie meanders too much. We can feel the broken story threads in the middle. It's like it's a successful Dial of Destiny, whereas Dial of Destiny, the abandoned plot threads have to be made up for and kind of explained. In the Batman, they managed to answer most of the questions, but that's because we have very slow and gratuitous dialogue. And I don't know that some of these conversations are really that worthy, or if this was a Batman worthy idea at its very core. The fact that they did so much reshooting would seem to belie that. What do you think, Martin?
Man, what do I think? Oof. I don't know. The whole thing was a mistake. I mean, you cast an excellent actor because he is an excellent actor.
He is an excellent actor, but
he refuses. But he refuses to look like the part.
His instruction was terrible. He didn't get the right direction. When he showed up acting weird, they should have confronted him. Like, no, it's not going to work.
I know that he could have bulked up, okay, but he's not the height of the character.
It was his attitude more than anything else that I hated.
Yes.
And the fact that he didn't also seem, because he was so thin, any moment he wasn't doing Batman stuff, he should have been training and self-repairing. Like any conversation with Alfred, he should be working out while he's talking to him or something, shooting steroids, any single thing to make it look like he was I mean, what next? Keith, what if I told you this?
Imagine, Master Wayne, are you sure of that? I say, look at me, man. I cannot gain. I need this.
Yeah, right. Like at some point in the movie, he's like, my working out and trying to be a better Batman is at odds with my disguise as a heroin addict millionaire. Or at this point, billionaire. It's like, what would a billionaire with heroin do? Oh, sit around the house and mope and have non-directed conversations that make no sense. I guess we got that part down.
Okay.
I don't even. Did he have an Alfred in that one? I don't even remember.
Yeah, he did. Look, that entire movie's just messed up.
Alfred's here's your spoon and needle, sir.
You know what? I think the key actually is in having some good, solid material to be the basis of a really good movie. And speaking of which, I happen to know someone with a comic that has good, solid material. Our very own Gerry Cassell.
Indeed. But we are still a couple of minutes away from that.
Yes.
So
that's the only let me tell you something. Tom Connors has always been nothing but friendly to me, and every time you hear him on the air, he's so affable and nice. But in that commercial, he'll scare you. If that person called you up on the phone, it's like, I need you to leave $300,000 behind a billboard at the old airport. I feel like I'm cash advancing everything from my credit card now, sir. I'm gonna be which old airport? We have 3. Don't ask any stupid questions. Leave the money at all 3 airports behind every billboard you can find. I'll do it.
Tom Connors is just great people. He's a great person to know.
He's a great voice actor, because then at the end, he as the tone of what he's saying lightens, he lightens up his voice a little, and it's like friendly and approachable at the end.
Yeah,
great, actually, great voice work.
Well, let's then just begin on what my 3 would be as far as.
Wait, that would be criminal. People in the audience, you don't know this, but yesterday when we were preparing this show, Keith. Oh, how I don't have words to put it. I'll make it justice.
Oh, I have to explain what
yeah, no. Get related to me about the events of the past in which franchises that were seemingly doomed change course for the better and become something great.
Yeah.
And I really, really, after we the three of us have been the Debbie Downers for a good
For a little
portion
bit.
of the
For a little
show,
bit. Well,
yeah,
let me at least take
I would like it for you
Yeah.
Well, here's
to
the
relate
bad thing.
and bring
Well,
the light of hope that you
that's what I
brought
hope
to
to
me
do.
yesterday.
Well, first of all, let me thank you very much, Mark, for reminding me. Let me at least complete what I had originally started out by saying this. Yes, in the past, you have had Hollywood trying to bring all sorts of things to life, and they've gotten into franchises, and some of these franchises have taken a wrong turn. Meanwhile, you'll have a certain franchise that starts out strong and eventually kind of, doesn't go anywhere until somebody else comes along, has a particular take on something, and they re energize the entire franchise. That has happened with the Fast and Furious movies. By the time you get to the fourth film in the series, things had really just kind of,
Dude, the second one was
yeah, I know.
it's insufferable. That's unwatchable.
Yeah, Tokyo Drift is a little.
And then you have the Mission Impossible films that after that second film, that really could have just destroyed the entire potential franchise they had.
Indeed.
Until J.J. Abrams came along and said, "Hey, Tom, I have an idea." And they set up Mission Impossible 3, which pretty much set the stage for everything that has come after. And with Fast and Furious,
I think that Tom Cruise absolutely kept JJ in check, and JJ kept Tom Cruise from indulging his worst impulses.
Yes,
it worked. One time, I will give credit to JJ Abrams. His casting is so good. So Simon Pegg and Jeremy Renner stayed with that franchise after he was gone.
Yeah, I wish they could have kept Jeremy Renner around more. And again, I'm still not really sure about the whole TV thing. I think Tom Cruise should have at least considered doing a television spinoff, so that way you could develop more side stories. Because that's one of the things about his character that you learn at the beginning of the third film, that he's actually done some teaching at the academy. He teaches students sometimes. And so, but they've never really picked up the rest of that thread,
if JJ picked it up, if someone else picked it up, maybe good. But imagine JJ picking it up, it would just be a flashback to how he got them all killed. And more darkness for our character. That would be or Zack Snyder. It's like, we need darkness here. We need the presence of a mystery. Well, okay, how do we pay the mystery off? Doesn't matter. People need to be engaged by the presence. We'll pay it off by introducing another mystery later. Just shut up. Make it dark.
Let's continue with the hope.
Well, I mean, Tom Cruise does stop JJ, because I think in 5, Ethan Hunt, he's a little weird at the very end of the movie. He kind of stalks around a bit, or is it 4? He stalks around a little bit, and he makes sure that his former girlfriend his child, he kind of visually checks up on them and then disappears back into the night, which is cool. Then we have our avenging angel, and it's like the best of JJ. He should have a backstory and someone he's close to. And then Tom Cruise pumping the brakes, like, yeah, but I don't want her killed 3 minutes after she's introduced, like you just said. Let's use this character for something. And JJ's like, damn, well, I suppose I could take the series of strong women he meets in succession that all help him out and make them into one. He's like, yeah, do that.
There you go. There you go. So that's really what I'm going to try to do in today's show. The original purpose of today's episode, franchises that could use a little, something extra to help them get better, or franchises that either, franchises that may not currently have anything on the roster that I can make a suggestion or two could actually do better, be better, and go forward better. At the top, well, not at the top of my list, but one of the ones that I had in mind was the Red series. The Red series.
Bruce Willis and
is-
John Malkovich,
That's
Helen
right.
Mirren.
Helen
Okay, yeah,
Mirren,
those
and
movies are good.
Those movies are fun. And I will say this: it's actually based on the DC Comics Red. And I always thought that part of the reason why they can't move forward is for obvious reasons. Bruce Willis is kind of not well at this point.
Best wishes to Mr. Willis and his
Yes.
family. That's really sad what happened. And I wish we could have gotten 10 more years of premium Bruce Willis movies, who's one of the better actors of his time.
Yes.
It's a shame. It's really a shame. Don't watch these new movies with him. Don't remember him this way.
I would like to see something kind of different, though. I know how I've often said, you got to take a series, and I think what should happen in this particular case is that you have all of his co-stars and you team them up with another DC comic book movie, another Warner Brothers franchise, and you could have the two combined to create one really cool movie that could either continue on or at least end the story for both franchises, for both sets of films.
If you had the right detective, you could do like an X-Files where the red guys are like the lone gunman version. You know what I mean? Like, I could easily see like someone like Bruce Wayne, like doing some of the Batman legwork through them. It's like hiring the red team. It's like, Mr. Wayne just shows up with all this money. What are we supposed to do? They said to watch Cobblepot. We're going to do it. I mean, there's possibility there.
Well, now my thinking was to combine it with another comic book, another DC comic book called The Losers, that was turned into a movie starring Chris Evans and Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Zoe Saldana and Idris Elba, and I would do that. And so I would combine the remaining cast of Red, Helen Mirren, John Malkovich, with Chris Evans and Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Zoe Saldana. And I would have a storyline that allowed both franchises to at least solve the major mysteries of both. I think you could combine both, and especially with John Malkovich just going for it. He is the most valuable player in those Red films, John Malkovich. I had no idea of his comedy chops.
Yeah, he's funny.
Like that with Red. I mean, before Red. So
anyone who hasn't seen Red, it's kind of the approach is similar to the Kingsman franchise and may have some common overlap. Some of the people say so, like very cool stunts, very fun action scenes. They inventive usually, and the characters are fun. Red stands for retired and extremely dangerous. Like they're too old to work anymore, but like the CIA still watches them because they could just go blow up a building or something for fun. They're weird.
And The Losers was really about a group of guys that get framed. Basically, it's DC Comics. This interpretation of the comic book, The Losers, was more in keeping with their own newer version of the A-Team, but with more members. And they get sold out by the guy who they work for, and so they're on everybody's list to kill them on sight. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan, as cool can be. Chris Evans, and again, I keep telling people, Chris Evans is probably one of the major actors for the MCU that has actually been in more comic book movies than you think.
Bye, Kevin.
This was at that time. This was the third comic book film he had ever been in, because he had
this
already
one
made.
Goes under people's radar, like you said, as a comic book movie.
Yeah, it's a comic book movie. This is after he had played Johnny Storm twice for Fox,
right?
In their Fantastic Four films.
Think we'll see that Johnny Storm again? You think that's going to be a multiverse thing?
Yes, I think it'll be. It's going to be part of the plot for Deadpool 3.
That would be great if he saw Sam and he was like, "Where I come from, you're just called Falcon. We have our own Captain America. He looks a lot like me."
You know what could be nice? Seeing Steve Roy, this guy, Chris Evans, Captain America, meeting Chris Evans, Johnny Storm, and look and watch the look of disapproval on each other's faces.
Yeah. And then like have
you're too stuck up and you're too goofy.
How about this too? Have Chris Evans, Captain America, start casting a lustful eye on Jessica Alba, and Chris Evans, Fantastic Four, be like, "Hey man, keep your eyes off my sister." And he's like, "Wait, come on, you're creeping me out." Did you have the same dad? What's going on with the two of you?
I would definitely see all that, although there's a twist to it. I would hire Jeffrey Dean Morgan to make a cameo appearance in the MCU, one time only, as OG original leader of S.H.I.E.L.D.
That would be cool.
Yes,
that would be cool, because we've only seen, if we've seen that character, the only case to be made is he's the Powers Booth voiced shadowy figure on the TV screen. And Diana Rigg is one of the other three people we see on the TV screens. It's Diana Rigg, Powers Booth, and I don't know who the third. Maybe it's Redford, because we see him later.
Actually, that's not Diana Rigg. It's
not.
No, that's not Diana Rigg. First of all, that is what's her name from?
What is it? Is it supposed to be Peggy? Right? It's supposed to be Carter, isn't it? She's one of the three people that.
No.
Okay.
She is from the movie Logan's Run. She's
Oh, I know. What's Skillington or Skellington? I'll Google her name now. I know who you're talking about. She's also in The Eagle Has Landed with Donald Sutherland. It's another. Just that movie's horrible.
And anyway, Jeffrey Dean Morgan would, I think, make an excellent comic book Nick Fury, and that would
Jenny
be fun.
Augeter. Sorry, that's
Jenny
Augeter.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan. We were robbed from seeing him as Thomas Wayne when he's the alternate Batman.
Oh, geez,
that would have been cool.
That's the reason why I hear he was gonna have the rumor was he was gonna at least have one more appearance in The Batman as written by Ben Affleck. That Ben Affleck script I heard was to die for. This was going
to make it. It's time to make it. His one movie got an Academy Award for Best Story. Let him do it. Let him do it.
Yeah. They're not gonna do it. They're not gonna
do it. I would bring him in my office and I'd say, like, you promise me that you will not involve Kevin Smith in this in any way. And he'd be like, but Kevin's my friend. It's like, do you promise me that he'll have nothing to do with this? And yes. All right. Then you can call anyone else you want, including make Damon the bad guy. Have fun with this. Go do it. And it would be great.
Yeah.
Imagine what the Flash could have been with those two Batmen. And Thomas in Michael Keaton, and knowing he is a Bruce Wayne, but it's not my Bruce Wayne, and vice versa. And that could have been a very heart-wrenching moment.
Yeah.
To paraphrase another person from Queens, when Hollywood sends us their Batman these days, they're not sending us their best anymore.
And with that, we're going to our vindicated promotion.
Meet the Seattle Vigilante. Like so many comic heroes, this warrior hides his identity. But his identity isn't the only secret he has to keep. After grievous wounds received during combat, Tier 1 operator John Russell begins to recover and comes to terms with his new reality of being an amputee. And as he learns how to use his new prosthetic limb, he finds himself caught up in the bureaucratic red tape that too many wounded veterans experience, the exhausting medboard process. Out of sheer frustration, John takes it out on the criminal scum of the city. But when reality kicks in, John realizes he started something that's having an impact on the greater world around him, and thus has to reevaluate his motives. And moreover, just how far is John willing to go to finish this war he's declared against the criminals in Seattle? And will he even survive? From the creator of IDW's award-winning graphic novel Code Word Geronimo comes a new story about a different kind of warrior, Vindicated Inc., the first of its kind disabled veteran action hero comic. The Vindicated Inc. graphic novel crowdfunding campaign on fundmycomic.com is provided in the description of this video. We hope you become a contributor. Please share this link. Thank you.
Ooh. Thank you. Thank you very much. Vindicated. Listen, everybody, if you haven't already, you got to jump on board that campaign. Okay? I'm telling you, that comic book is just off the chain. Off the chain. It's good. It's really good.
And think about this. We have a guy with a comic book about a man with a missing limb, right? And it's voiced by Tom Connors, right? Now, what famous person with missing limbs is a comic book character, but Spider-Man's pal, Doc Connors? There's like some sort of karmic fate going on here for this comic. It's going to be really good. Now, if you could just get to New York from Seattle and contact Doc Connors, he might be able to help him out.
Well, he's not an echo, really. Anyway,
thank God. In this one, I'm looking forward to this comic. I'm a backer. I can't wait to see it.
Good. Thank you for backing it. Look, as I said before, there are a few franchises that might need a little help, might need a little something. And I do have an idea of a few directions I would go to. But first, Martin, do you have one that you could offer, a little bit of a something to help correct it, help any franchise go what you would like to consider the right direction, attract more people to it?
Yeah, in fact, I do. Now, before I get into that, I would like to clarify some things. I am a purist, meaning no matter the media, when I come across to something that I really like, and then they say they're going to do an adaptation or a continuation, I really, really expect to see a translation of what I already know. Not a reimagining or whatever fancy name they use for that these days. However, having been said that, I can evaluate the product independently of the franchise, and if I find it good, I would like it, even if it's different. I know this is going to be controversial, but I like what I like. And I like the two versions of Robocop, and I like the two versions of Total Recall. I know they're completely dissimilar one from another, but they are well done. So
you were talking about Total Recall 1, right? The 1991.
Yes, and the one with this guy
Arnie. You like that one? I didn't see all of it.
Yes, I like.
just say the only thing I can say is neither one of them come close to what happens in the book at all.
Of course.
And it's like that book is 12 or 13 pages, man. That's a story. That's just a story in a bunch of stories. It's really good, but that is like, well, how long is Total Recall? Tops 15 pages, 20 maybe. Very most. Yeah, it's interesting. Minority Report's about the same length.
Yeah. Well, so there's that to consider. Now, I want to see fidelity to the original material, but I'm not a zealot either. So, with that being said, I have seen many. How did Aragorn put it? I've seen many winters, and I'm a gamer. Always have been since before the days of the Atari 2600. So take your calculators out. And of course, this comment from Ariel, this one. I was thinking my approach for this show, precisely thinking about that, because say Trek, Star Wars, and Doctor Who is implicit at this point. There's no in my point of view. There's no need to even mention them. We all knew how desperately those franchises need a change in course. Not a boost, a really radical change in course. So I was thinking, what other uh, franchises or IPs that we overlooked? And I remember then my days of youth when for the first time I played um, Tomb Raider, and fast forward a lot of years, I see my girl, my my daughters playing the new ones, and I was seeing them and said, the game looks awesome, has incredible mechanics. It's a good game, but that is not Tomb Raider.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we are seeing John watch play Uncharted, I felt that, man, if Tomb Raider could have done this, because Uncharted is nothing else but a quasi carbon copy of the original Tomb Raider. So why cannot have a Tomb Raider that it is in fact a Tomb Raider game, not a shooter wannabe? So my first piece of entertainment would be that the Tomb Raider franchise returning to is to the spirit of the original games.
Okay.
Is that
Yeah. That's This kind of thing is something that could actually, play very well in video games. Also, we've seen people doing things, although nowadays it seems to be like if you try to do something with video games, if you try to take an older version of it and at least get the graphics and everything updated to something newer, there's always changes made. They always try to make it more of this time period or this time, that we're living in and the current direction of things, which, I'm like you. I believe in what the creator of said IP originally intended to do. The success of something like One Piece, I think, was enough to get Netflix to understand that making changes to IP doesn't work out unless you involve the creator of the original IP itself. What was done with a lot of the franchises that they had prior to that shows, One Piece is a huge hit. Yet when you look back and you see a lot of the other stuff that's been done, it's not so much, especially the He-Man stuff. All that stuff that they did before, they got a lot of flack for. And it's why it's ending. They still have quote unquote one more season of He-Man to go, He-Man Revelations, but that was part of the original order of when they had started all of that. That was, it was always just 2 seasons. Trust me, after this upcoming season of He-Man Revelations, or at least
Revolution. So
Revelations, whatever.
Be prepared for coming him and
yeah, it's after this, it's there won't be any more of that. Personally, I think however they decide to go from that point on, they should just pay attention to the original creators of the animated series and move forward with their ideas rather than trying to modernize everything, it will probably work out a whole lot better. Teague, do you have an idea of a particular franchise that you would like to help move forward with something that could
I think Teague is away from
Teague is
keyboard.
away? Well, then let me do my second one. My second one is one that technically there is no quote unquote franchise, but it's very popular. It was intended to be the start of a franchise.
Wait, before you reveal that, you have to read this.
Oh, geez. Ariel says, can't wait for the new series of He-Man called Transman, Hero for the Alphabet. Put that one in rotation, kids. Dear Netflix, this is how you should do this.
That is funny. Bravo, yeah. It can't be any worse than the last He-Man we saw. It certainly can.
Oh, never said that. It can always get worse.
But the one that I picked is a single movie. But it's a single movie with a dedicated fan base and lots of material, including a sequel that was actually written and published. It's one that I know for a fact I'm not the only one that feels this way about this movie. But considering how much time has passed, this might be one of those ones where I would recast just so we could play out the rest of these stories. And the film is The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai.
Yes.
I think the creator, Earl McRock, he's ready. I mean, he's again, I keep telling people there is a sequel to Buckaroo Banzai, an official sequel. No, it's a
Buckaroo
book.
Banzai and the League of Crime?
It's a book.
Okay, I guess they made an illustrated version of it too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've seen it. Is it called Buckaroo Banzai and the League of Crime, right?
I think so. I think yeah.
Guys, I like to acknowledge the fact that we have in our midst Flip City Magazine, a very good friend from this channel, and who has helped Gerry with his campaign. Hello, Flip City Magazine. Good to see you.
Hey. Nice.
Oh my God, Ariel.
Thank you for helping out. It's an American comic publisher. You know, we don't have to. You let's face it. They say you got to go to manga for stories these days, but like, here's a story from an American.
Okay, Ariel Bellet, thank you very much. You've already sold it to everyone here. I think we're all waiting to see what happens next. I think the next move has to belong to really the rights holders to the toys. So anyway, Admiral Teague, there is a sequel to Buckaroo Banzai, and it's a Buckaroo Banzai Against the World Crime League, and it's a sequel that is written by Earl McRock, who is the creator of all of it.
Right.
And it was published by Dark Horse. And it's a novel. And I think they've published a paperback version of that very same novel.
What's a bummer is that you can't get across some of the genius of Buckaroo Banzai, because one of the things he does is he plays guitar really well, then plays the keyboards really well, and then blasts off on the saxophone for a couple of minutes. It's like there's nothing the man can't do really well.
Yeah. Well, now I'm a fan also of the novel, of the novelization of the film, which is written like a lot of the novels that helped to inspire. It was written like the novels that helped to inspire the character. If you know anything about Buckaroo Banzai, the way that character was created, he's really based on Doc Savage.
He's
Okay.
He's the Rosenberg baby.
Yeah. They use the Doc Savage pulp novels, and that's how the novelization of the film was written. So it's written like a pulp novel, and it has references and other things to other adventures, previous adventures, side adventures. They're all named throughout the novelization, and a compendium of who everyone is, including, you hear a lot about characters that you don't even see in the movie, like Pecos Bill and others. And there is a whole universe to Buckaroo Banzai that if you were lucky enough to read the novelization to the original film, you kind of got a glimpse into this world, and you wanted to see more of it. You know, the
There's
movie
a deleted scene of it, isn't there, with Jamie Lee Curtis?
Yeah, but that's Buckaroo's parents.
Right.
But there's also, references, as I said before, to other members of the group. More than what you see in the movie. See, turns out there's another adventure also going on at the same time.
Is that why that watermelon is in the clamp?
No, that's an experiment. But there are other members of the group who you don't see because they're on another adventure. And so while they're out there trying to track down really the members of the World Crime League, Buckaroo has his adventure where he ends up fighting for the Earth and just happens to run across the fact that his beloved late wife had a twin sister that she never knew about. And other things. But that's the world of Buckaroo Banzai. And I think it would be great to recast that part, to recast all the parts and move forward with more adventures from this group. Because there's so much material out there, and because the creator, thankfully, is still around. He's got all these great ideas. He's never stopped having ideas.
He's the Big Trouble in Little China creator, right?
That's right.
Which kind of came out of this script, they say, right?
Well, now, Big Trouble in Little China actually was a much different concept. Okay, people keep trying to say that Buckaroo Banzai was meant to be kind of like part of that. No, because Big Trouble in Little China was conceived as a Western. That's the original premise of Big Trouble in Little China. So it would have been told back in time. In other words, the Old West, California, during the early days, it would have been like that.
Do you believe it's a shared universe, being as how it came out and ultimately was distributed? Do you think we could kind of incorporate some of one into the other, little cross-pollination?
I believe that if it is a shared universe, it's a shared universe that is separated by a long period of time, meaning that the events of Big Trouble in Little China is somewhere around the 1850s, and that Buckaroo Banzai is of its period, so it's the 1980s. So if you are having to do that, there's going to have to be a little bit of time travel involved.
Yeah, I forget that. I was thinking more just the way we got it cinematically. They are both in about the same year.
Well, that's the thing. That's the difficult thing about trying to do a sequel. And it also explains the reason why Kurt Russell was playing the role the way that he did, and having his character really be his interpretation of John Wayne playing the character.
And that character could just, or someone completely like him, could just drive on with the delivery to the Buckaroo Banzai show or movie that you want to make and improve it right there. And we could have a lot of fun because that guy created that too.
Pork Chop Express just kind of drives by, Yeah.
Hey, guys, I'd like to take a second or two to acknowledge the presence of our good friend, Sax.
Hey, fuck you, Kyle.
Oh, Kyle. Oh, wait. Ariel Ballet says, let's see.
Oh, this one, 100%. Take my money.
You know what?
Do it.
That would be fantastic. You know, the Shadow, the Rocketeer, the Phantom. I would like to see a better version. I agree with you, Ariel. I would like to see a better version of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen because the comic is way better than the movie that we actually got. The comic makes way more sense. They made a lot of changes to the story and turning it into a movie. And the biggest change is introducing a character into the story that never existed in the comic at all.
Yeah.
That's my biggest beef. I'm not saying, look, I'm saying if you're going to do it, there's two things you really need to do. First, understand the story, and second, math. You have to because the character they added makes no sense within this time period of the story that you have that person in. For one thing, that character that they added should be the same age as Sean Connery's character. Again, math. Simple thing.
Exactly, Ariel Ballet.
That's right, Ariel. Tom Sawyer, if you do math, his character is way older than he is in the movie. Yeah, he was just in the movie. He's not in the comic. And the reason why they did it, Wolverine 626, was because the understanding was Americans won't get it because there's too many British characters in it, and we have to add an American. So they randomly picked a name and chose Tom Sawyer.
Just
not,
like Steve.
Not thinking that in the comic, all of these characters were researched out. And it was based on who they were, the time period their stories took place in, and then figuring out everybody's age so the story would make more sense. Okay? With Tom Sawyer, if you did that, Tom Sawyer should be in his 70s by the time the story takes place.
But this is Tom Sawyer's grandson. He's Tom Sawyer the third.
Oh, is that how you're going to try to explain it away?
He's today's Tom Sawyer, mean stride. Monday Warrior, mean pride.
You know what? Good one. Ariel, look, I agree with you. I loved Nemo in the comic and in the movie. To me, that is a fantastic version of the character. In fact, that to me is a lot closer to what the character is in the original novel compared to a lot of the other versions that have been done. Because it seems like a lot of people will read the novel and then just use the Disney version as their go-to version to figure out what the character looks like. And not realizing that they are copying something that wasn't exactly like the novel, but quote unquote close enough. So it's kind of my same thing with Wonka. You know, Willy Wonka is not a normal person. He is exceedingly out. Look, I know people go wild when I say this, but it's the truth. For anyone that has ever read the books that Willy Wonka actually appears in, you know that Johnny Depp's version is close to that version. You know,
yeah, the book is if people have a problem with Alice in Wonderland, they would never get through those Chocolate Factory books. It's a little weird for sure.
Yeah, it's very weird. And that Johnny Depp's version is pretty much the novelization version or the original story version of that character. Now, I know a lot of people love Gene Wilder's version, and there's nothing wrong with it. But that's basically like taking a character like, say, let me pick a character from.
How about Gomez Adams? We saw two different distinct Gomez Adams depictions, right? John Astin supplants the popular version of Gomez.
Well, I was going to say a character like Ramsay Bolton in Game of Thrones. If you took him and just said, you know what, he loves his dogs and his dogs love him, and he's a misunderstood person who daydreams a lot and tries to make friends but doesn't do so well. And then you let him sing and he talks about the land and everything else. And you sort of downplay all the other stuff about the character. That's what they did with the Gene Wilder version.
Right.
It's called whitewash, kids.
Well, they took away, a lot of the darkness. There's no mention of some of the insane things. The book is 5 times crazier than anything in the movie.
Yeah. And even the creator of the story did not like the Gene Wilder version. He did not like that at all. I know that there are people that go, a lot of people will go, well, he signed off on it. Yeah, he signed off on it.
Money's cool. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. What was he supposed to say? Like, they're going to make it one way or another. He just would have gotten a lesser fee and had to spend money on lawyers. So at that point, you embrace it and you just try not to sign an NDA so that you can try to push it in a direction that you want, but you've lost control. They bought your car. You can't say what color they painted after you sold it.
Well, he tried to sue them. He tried to sue them and stop the movie from coming out, and it wasn't successful. So that should tell you exactly what he thought of the film.
We've got movie, we have cinematic Wonka and we have literary Wonka, and literary Wonka is a totally different animal than the original cinematic Wonka.
Yep.
And then the last 2 movies, we seem to have gotten closer. And I'll just say this, like that boat ride from the first one with Gene Wilder that people say is too much, or they start to freak out and get a little bit weirded. That is the entire movie with Johnny Depp, but that is pretty much what those books were. I think he took some liberties with the relationship with the dad. I don't remember. These were children's books I read when I was a child, but like that weird Johnny Depp approach that people did not appreciate and got a made reception. It's because they had reestablished the character in a way substantially different from what was in the book. And these people had book rights, not rights to a sequel to the Gene Wilder movie. So they kind of couldn't.
Yeah.
And the other, and it was just, I would say the Gomez Adams analogy would be Gomez Adams was never handsome, suave, debonair, and had a way with words. Gomez Adams was kind of dumb and kind of like if you ever see cartoon versions of him, like you see him in Scooby-Doo, and I think he shows up on other Hanna-Barbera cartoons, he's completely different. John Astin changes that, and Raul Julia continues in the tradition. So there's 2 legitimate ways to interpret Gomez. In Wednesday, I believe they went back to a comic-like, cartoon-like original. So there's 2 legitimate interpretations sometimes.
There you
it's
go.
Not a multiverse. It's just we saw a great actor go out there and put a stamp on it twice with a different take on it, debonair version of it. The thing is that suave Gomez Adams acts largely the same as regular Gomez Adams. They're still both really, really, really weird. One is just a little quick-witted and quicker with words.
There you go. That's it. It's about as different as, say, William Shatner's Captain James T. Kirk and the person who passes for Kirk in the middle of K-Trek.
Yeah, Paul Wellesley, I feel bad for. I feel bad for him. I feel bad for all of them because you know what happens to them, these actors? I started following them on Twitter when I started doing, analysis of their shows. A lot of them are talking about a recurring trope is couldn't be on the show that I was already on that got me Star Trek because the Star Trek production schedule is a mess. And this was supposed to be over 2 years ago. I signed a 3-season deal and they've managed to cut these seasons in half. But, after they blame us and double their production time, think about what that means if you're the actor. You're tied up in this commitment that could come back at any time for twice as long. They have carved the meat out of a lot of people's careers. If you're not Rebecca Romaine, these shows were not made to help you out at all. Melissa Navia, she had a death. Her partner died. and she's nothing like that character. Her Twitter was like of a normal, nice person. She looks normal and nice when she has normal hair. They ugly her up and make her a horrible adversarial character on New Trek, and she like her boyfriend died of some chronic disease, and she had stayed with him till the very end. And like her tweet that I guess she was probably seemed like a forced tweet was like, "Can't wait to get back and work with my castmates from New Trek." And you're like, you know that they're not shooting many of them together, and you're like, but going back to work will help me get past this loss. And it's like, wow, that sounds suspiciously like the other woman who said she would love to spend time with her new baby, but she had to get back to work at New Trek. So these writers are really cool. They're making out fine because they're writing 3 different titles.
Oh yeah,
slowly and blaming us.
If it were up to me, I would. I look. I think the world of all of the actors in K-Trek. I like them all. I just think that the person that they're working
I don't
for,
like Nelson Cruz.
I believe he's a little misguided. I believe if left to his own, if cast in something that actually was substantial, especially in a real Trek, I think he would do all right. But
he's confrontational on Twitter and
I'm pretty sure he is, because he's been worked that way,
So he's believing the propaganda. They're like, the reason you're not getting paid on time isn't because we're bad bosses. It's because these unappreciative fans are homophobic. And he's like,
that's
okay.
it. That's
Nelson, go dance off Broadway or something. You've got the skills. We've seen it. Go do a one-man play if this Star Trek thing is messing up your finances. He sits on Twitter all day attacking people. It's like, dude, we're not the ones who took the money out of your hands, and you're just like rolling over and letting your belly be scratched by you know what? There are extremists in this world, and the people from Bad Robot are mercantilist extremists from the left, the extreme parts of the left that no one identifies with. They are absolutely taking such an extremist, mercantilist, corporatist view. They are messing up people's lives, and they're scapegoating people. And it's every bit as false and every bit as farcical as when it's done by any other side of the spectrum. This is not the truth. This is not any kind of political philosophy. They're using people's political feelings to get a reaction out of them and then dump something on them to make them feel a certain way. And it hasn't done anything to turn a profit. At my first super chat at $3, my channel had made more money than New Trek ever has. So I'm trying to talk to them from experience here. I can make money off. You can make money off this Star Trek thing if you stop beating the hell out of it.
Yeah.
And be nicer to your actors. It's like a cult. It's actually sort of like an Amway scam. If you look at the producers and trace back and filter, there's 23 producers and 6 named cast members in any given episode.
Well, I think the writers just need to do something else. And as far as Kurtzman himself, he needs to just go away.
Do you feel that they failed to become crime writers, and now they do this weird Star Trek stuff with their bad crime writing skills because they, in fact, deserved not to be crime writers? They're like, this script sucks. It's solved through magical thinking at the end. Where's the cause and effect? And they're like, okay, I'll write Star Wars.
These are all people that are going different places, and they're not thinking about where they actually are. And because of the response, because they weren't able to get people to fall in love with what they were doing, it's all blaming the audience, blaming the fans, because they can't get what they think that they deserve, which they've never earned. Writing is hard.
Because Spielberg picked the wrong babysitter for his kids.
Basically. But it's bad writing, and it's a bad concept. And it unfortunately has led to, there are ways to fix it, but a lot of it's just pretty much just nonsensical. It has no basis in anything that's ever been put in before. And what little that they have that's based in other things is altered so much that it might as well just be, it's fanfic is really what it is. It's bad fanfic, but it's fanfic. Fanfic basically from fans who believe that they deserve to be Buffy writers, but who are actually writing Star Trek. That's basically what it is. It's a bunch of fans who think that the way Buffy the Vampire Slayer was written is the ultimate way to do everything, who aren't good enough to have ever joined Buffy, even in its worst days.
That's the thing. Yeah, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It had a couple of bad seasons, but for the most part, beyond the skill of the Star Trek people.
Yeah. And it's they never would have been good enough to join those writers who actually think that somehow, they can will it back into existence, and who are only just marking time by writing Star Trek.
Yeah, and also using detective show actors to do sci-fi like Raffi is from SVU.
Again, I love that actress. I just don't like the way her character is written until Picard season 3, and they figured out a way of, hey, look, somebody that actually loves Trek can write this character way better than people who just don't love Trek. So
it was better, but don't you think if they're going to present her as an improved and worthy character, they need to walk back the fact that she's been locked up for mutinying 12 times and now is in second command of the flagship with
you know what?
That's a terribly compromised command team. I wouldn't watch Star Trek Legacy. If we start dating Keith, God forbid, and and then we get control of like the USS Nimitz and we can like launch a nuclear strike on other countries, and like I've mutinied 13 times. I've got a few opinions and we get some orders and it's like Crimson Tide. I'm like, come on, Keith, you want to bomb the Russians. You're like, it's the most ridiculous.
And the person sitting on the bridge advising us is someone with a criminal record.
It would be like a totally checkboxed person. Like they would be like, I didn't walk up here on my wooden leg, on my prosthetic leg that I lost, saving children from a fire, to listen to two men, whimper about their problems. Let's ask the female crew members what to do. And it's like, all female crew members, please select from these 4 choices. It's like, okay, it's B. All right, I'm going to do it. I've made a decision. We're going with B.
I will say this. Terry Matalas definitely deserved the award that he got in Australia. It's unfortunate that he'll never be allowed to actually do a Star Trek Legacy show because somebody's ego was so bruised from how well Picard season 3 did that they just had to take over Star Trek Legacy, and so any Star Trek Legacy series to come out will be under the direction and under the purview of the person who brought us Star Trek Discovery.
Problem I have is, look, you still, like, Matalas gave us a command team so inenviable, so impossible, so horribly compromised. The last thing her captain did was send a letter about how no one should dead name 7 of 9, right?
Yes.
But the letter, and they say when the star date on the letter was, right? And he's emphatic that it's wrong to call her that. So what's the excuse for his behavior for the rest of the show after he sends that letter where he continues dead naming her, yelling at her, putting her down, and being an istophobe towards her? It makes no sense. He already sent a letter to Starfleet saying she was the bestest ever, and he's like, "I need to keep up some brisk racist S talk with you here, with you, 7." And took, no, please don't do that. Oh, listen, I'm going to call you Hanson now for a while. Go down there and do your job, and like acting all military. It doesn't make sense if he had already sent that letter. I mean,
yeah,
I think the deal with Matalas is this: we got a better messenger. The people who came to us with Star Trek before this, they're like, this is how it's going to be, and you're going to like it. And if you don't, it's because you're like this. Terry Matalas, at least, he was like, I hope people like my very different, changed Picard story. And it was like right away, people were like, wait a minute. Who said that? Was that a rumor or something? And it's just like, you see the guy and it's like, he doesn't have blue hair. He's not overtly angry. And he's like affable. And he seems nice. And he wants you to like his Star Trek movie. It's got less problems because the pacing is so slow. But I mean, I don't think it's truly defensible if we really wanted to get into it, that was good in the sense of, it wasn't a Star Trek worthy tale.
Yeah, it was better than what the first 2 seasons of Picard were.
By a lot. Oh, by a
and
lot.
and it
Sure.
was all he could do because Kurtzman was making sure that it stayed within the universe he had already set up. So for me,
why
it's
not
about as
have the I'm sorry. This is what bothers me the most, and
Yes.
I believe that
Yeah.
he controlled this. Why not? Since you had John Delancey there anyway, right? Since you used him anyway, and since he had been in the end of the previous season anyway, right? Why not use the Q up front to reestablish some continuity, get rid of the bad continuity in a better way, and say to him specifically, and it's about time you were a human being again. And reestablish stakes now, because as far as I can tell, as long as we have this upload that Alice the murderer has, we can just re-upload a new Picard when this golem gets killed. This is nothing but a robot ghost programmed off a CGI upload of Picard, and we could have made him human again. But even that human would arguably not be an admiral. All Picard is, and people can't argue this in any other way. I agree with things that are said in is it a Measure of a Man, that he has sentience and that he is a Federation citizen. All I could say is in 18 years, the robot can vote because it was made 2 or 3 years ago by a murderer. It is not Jean-Luc Picard. It's not an admiral. It is a robot upload ghost. And why Bev yells at it is beyond me. So explain those things to me in your story, and maybe you improve it. But they had that was a mess, that story, that Picard. And the destruction of Bev in episode 1 made me angry. Running people left and right.
Teague, I agree with you, but it was the best of that situation that he had.
He had massively. Well, no, he could have made him human up front. That's his mistake. I'm going to put that on him. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think we have deviated from the point of the show.
Well, you know what?
The Star Trek rabbit hole is so rich and fertile.
We are 2 Star Trek fans, and it's easy to go down that rabbit hole sometimes.
Or Batman. We can end up going down that bat hole for quite some time. But you know what? I love that too. So, I mean, you bring it on.
Yeah, we should do that sometime. Just do a whole Batman.
I'm doing Batman Returns this afternoon for a Frozen watch-in.
Wow.
Yeah, I kicked it back an hour because I can hang out here. But yeah, I'll do it a little later today. It's a good movie to be frozen into because we got very cold weather and dangerous conditions in most of America.
Wow.
We've had about a day to dig out. Some people are in better shape than others, but yeah, it's not good.
Well, we're at least trying to warm up where I am. Notice the operative word is trying.
I finally recovered some measure of warmth from the from yesterday. It got to the point, like I said, where my breath was just starting to fog in my apartment when they got the heat turned on. They're about to start having damage to the pipes kind of thing.
Wow. Well, Martin is right, though. We have wandered a bit far.
Right. We have to restart 2 other franchises. You saved the Avengers. I think there's a lot of hope for that, unless that was just an addendum. We've definitely covered Star Trek pretty well. I would just add really quickly, we could have any ship anywhere with any crew as long as they acted like proper Federation officers the way we remembered them. Simply give a star date past the point of the Romulan destruction, get orders from Admiral Kirk past the point of the Nexus event, right around the Nexus event, and undo, or even Admiral Picard after what we say is the destruction of Romulus, and never touch on anything else and restart Star Trek without acknowledging anything else that happened and have our own show. Maybe like a Voyager where you throw the ship into another continuity, or limited contact with the Federation. A real exploratory Star Trek is possible at any time, as long as it doesn't involve the other shows. But Kurtzman has to be out of there.
Yeah, I think Kurtzman's coming to the end of a lot of roads right now. Look,
do you think that's trapped him in Star Trek though? Because I think Hollywood knows he's not a good faith businessman. Is my opinion. No one else is saying that. Don't take my word for it. But I feel that when you see all these shows doubling their production time, halving their production, having salaries, bringing people to Australia to live for Rings of Power. In the case of the Star Trek Discovery spin-off Rings of Power, it's the same writers. This is the way they've always done it. You know what? They keep the older cast members away from the younger ones so that they don't have the chance to tell them, watch out for what's going on. And you saw it in the interviews after Rings of Power, where they interviewed the people over 30 and they kept them away from the younger people who were rebellious and attacking the fans. And the older actors were thoughtful and realized that they had been had. And that is an interesting interview.
Oh, yeah. Well, look, I'm sitting here smiling because now Netflix is going to have to deal with The Witcher now that Henry Cavill has left. And I really do feel bad for
someone like a Disparu is like thinking about houses and cars based on how bad that is. If it goes like 2 seasons, he's got a house.
Oh, look, they messed up. They had the perfect actor to play that part for as long as he wanted to play the part, and they chased him away. Well, I should say the showrunner and the writers chased him away. So in that sense, you messed up, and you messed up royally. I feel bad for Liam Hemsworth, but you know what? He's collecting a paycheck, and Henry Cavill was nice enough to wish him well. But Liam,
I think he feels bad for him, right? I don't think that was feigned.
Yeah, no.
I think he probably called him up. He's like, "Listen, mate, before we go there, a couple of things I'd like you to know. Just watch yourself, and maybe hang out in your trailer."
Yeah, if you really want to help yourself, don't read any of the books. Don't play the video games because you'll realize how much you've been had. So
you're an actor, mate. Just go there and give them what they want.
Just give them what they want, because if you start reading the books, you might realize you are actually the one for whom all of this revolves around, rather than you revolving around them. So.
You're really The Witcher in name only. Like, this show is The Witcher in name only. It's now the adventures of Yennefer.
Yeah, basically. That's pretty much what they turned it into. You know.
So you think we could save that one? Is that's
Oh, do I think we can save The Witcher? No, The Witcher can be saved.
That one's
real
on
easy.
Fire. Viking funeral. Wait a few years.
You basically look at. I would tell Netflix, look at what you did with One Piece. You can just basically do that with everything else. Just bring in the creator. Because look, when the person behind the books is telling you, hey, what you're producing is not what I wrote and it's not that good, you know you've done something wrong. And I'm telling you, if they want to save this, they're going to have to get rid of their showrunner. Just unemploy her and unemploy her entire writing staff and bring in people. Look, you're never going to get Cavill back, because Cavill now is basically working on something that I think he would have even given Superman up for, which is his Warhammer series. Warhammer is really what he cares about. He is a complete and utter nerd, and he loves Warhammer. So basically, having him leave The Witcher, that turned out to be the best thing for him, because now he can work on the one project that he has been choosing to work for and work on for a long time. And he's now got the ability to do it. So you're never going to get him back. All you can do is try to find a showrunner who's actually read the books, read the source material, and is willing to give you that. And I guarantee you could probably find a few people that have that ability. One of whom, is, in my opinion, is Stephen DeKnight. You know, Stephen Knight, because I think he's that talented when it comes to certain things. I will say, though, that The Witcher probably can't be helped. I think Lauren Sitchwich, who is the showrunner, has some sort of a contract that locks her into all of that. And that's fine. If she continues to want to go down that road, that's fine. But she's not going to get me. And there are a lot of fans who have abandoned that show. That's the reason why she's online and on social media begging people to watch the new season. It's too late. You should have thought about that before you pissed off Henry Cavill. You know, the guy who was too nice enough to tell you to go to hell, who tried to warn you. It's like, hey, the show's called The Witcher, and there are a lot of books here. I think we should follow those. And all you did was laugh in his face. So you get what you get, sometimes because you're stupid. So
worst case scenario for The Witcher, Viking funeral and bring it back in a few years is the best you can hope for.
Yeah, that's and if I may, I would bring it back as a series of films. You know, I would do that.
Poor Henry Cavill. He has what I call Chris Pine disorder. He gets with these great franchises in the moment that they fall apart or when they go in a direction that's never intended to. And shame on us as a society for having video games with better plots than most movies, where people are that, you know what I mean? That resolute. Although there were books. So from what I understand, the games and the books lined up though.
Yeah, they did. So all
and
you
then we
needed
threw
to
that
do
out
was,
the window for The Message.
yes, they should have tried to do that with the Netflix show, but they decided not to. So, you know, Ariel Bella asks, do you guys believe that George R.R. Martin will die before he actually finishes his book? Okay, let me help you with something. As Nerdrotic likes to say, he has no intention of ever finishing the main story. I think he's given up on that long time ago. Long time ago.
I have some insight onto the thinking of George R.R. Martin.
This is my position on this. He didn't give up. He planned that from the beginning.
He gave up. Oh, bad intentions from day one. He's like,
yes.
The hell of that.
That is his performative art.
Okay.
He caught creative bankruptcy from watching Lost. He was like, wait, I can get away without ending this? Why am I beating myself up trying to make this make sense? I'm just going to write the edgiest book I can. Oh, that's
wow.
So he drank too deeply from the pool of J.J. Abrams tropes.
Oh, no. He's been around longer than J.J. I mean, he started publishing these books in 84, 85, when he was rounding down his time working on the network television series that he was working on, which was CBS's Beauty and the Beast.
There we go. That makes perfect sense.
So he actually probably wanted to put a lot more sex, but it's a CBS series. So he decided, I'll just create my own
Linda Hamilton having sex. I don't just speaking for myself. I would like this. I wish there was video. James Cameron filmed so many things. He didn't have a home video camera. He didn't have as much means as Tommy Lee.
I can't say anything to that.
He's like, if I do this, it'll be known as my most memorable film. No.
All I know is he was married to her, and she has a twin sister. So
yeah, the possibilities.
There are always possibilities.
Do you think he fell in love with one and then he met Linda and he was just thought it was the other and just continued the conversation and has no idea?
Her twin sister was never into acting. She, I think, was a nurse or something like that. So it was, but I'm sure family reunions, family parties, he's looking at his wife, looking at her sister, and just thinking to himself, two chicks at the same time.
But the other part is this is the old rule, right? Of the rule of cads who aspire to pass as gentlemen. It really is kind of pointless to cheat on your wife with her own twin sister. You've already got that locked up. You know what I mean? If your wife looks like Marilyn Monroe and she has a twin sister, that's great. But if you have a chance to date, to have your wife look like Marilyn Monroe and your wife looks like, say, Linda Carter, you know what I mean? If you can replicate two replicants, though, I don't know. Then that changes the rules.
Two chicks at the same time. That's my answer.
Hold on a second. I'm looking at flights to Amsterdam. Not going to break any laws.
Just yeah. Well, we've gone to a pretty strange place. Yeah. Anyway,
Can I try to save a franchise? Because I got a
Sure,
quick idea.
sure,
All right,
sure.
this one's going to sound a little insane, but I have an idea that's so crazy it just might work. Okay. If there's a person who we would call poor man's George Lucas over the course of his career, I would have to say that disaster maven Roland Emmerich comes to mind first, especially when you think that Independence Day is sort of the same plot as Star Wars 77 and has the same sort of opening shot and everything. And he just really feels very Lucasy. And, if you gave him something to work with that involved outright magic, like we saw, something like we see in a certain franchise where we have science fiction and magic coming together, because they're so bad, leave them alone, give them a project. I would like to see a Star Wars movie from Roland Emmerich. If you use the Force, Moonfall, we would have people standing so hard for Moonfall. Because people stood up for Andor, and that was like, this story wasn't bad, but man, it was so slow, it's hard to call it good. And people were like, you're a part of the problem and a horrible human being because you don't realize Andor was actually Star Wars the only way it should be done. I'm like, God, that was really just too slow. I mean, I appreciate that he wastes a few people and stuff like that, but no, I think Roland Emmerich, the poor man's George Lucas, probably has. I'm telling you, if we transposed, there's a planet of aliens and the Force invades their moon and then starts to bring it closer to their planet to wreak havoc on it, like the dark side of the Force, you've got a defensible beginning of a Star Wars story there, and then maybe some Jedi magic to undo it, coupled with an action scene. He's shown a propensity to do good sci-fi.
You know what?
He's good.
You'd either have a Star Wars movie, or you would have that which inspired Star Wars, and you'd have a Flash Gordon movie. So,
but it would be better than what we have. We could turn it around if we do. Now, Roland Emmerich's not perfect, but he's out there. He's available. He's got nothing in production for the first time since before Stargate. Wow. Call this man up. Yeah, Roland Emmerich had to start taking money from a certain country that's near Japan. That had you had to have part of your movie take place in that country to make the movie, and they would give you some money. And so we see part of Midway, which he did in 2019, deserved a better fate. There's problems with that movie, but it's good. It takes place in a country near Japan that isn't Japan, and part of Moonfall takes place in a country that's near Japan but isn't Japan. And they seem to have gotten to be the only ones who want to pay for a Roland Emmerich movie. But Roland Emmerich, as middling as he is, if several middling Roland Emmerich efforts in a row for Star Wars would right the ship and have people being like, okay. And he does all the bad things that the Star Wars people like. Like he misuses children actors, like kind of like in a story. There'll be a little too much of the child actor. That's so Kenobi. Like they would actually probably accept him. He just needs to learn how to talk some woke BS, and he's right in there. I think he could do better for them. Waiting for Jon Favreau to come back and have it not have baggages. I think that war is being fought. Just give Roland Emmerich some money and tell him to make the stuff somewhere else and don't interact with the other people. Yeah. I think he could make something. That's it's a hot take, but that's my suggestion on how to save a franchise. I think Roland Emmerich could make a decent Star Wars story. Decent.
I beg to differ.
You might be right. If we just impose the movie Midway onto
I don't want Star Wars to become a vehicle for eating popcorn.
It would be a really good way to Raleigh's 80, right? So he's not going to make a lot more movies, or he's 75, right? So what about if we thought about a 10-year caretaker role instead of hanging it out to dry to let the smell get out of it?
Waiting. Yes, Ariel. He did a movie with a kaiju in it, and do not bring this subject with John. Please.
You know what? They cleared that up in another movie. I think he gave them the rights. That is a variant of Godzilla called Zilla or known as the Silver Lizard, and we see it get taken out. I think it's one of the King of the Monsters movies, pretty fast by Godzilla proper. So I think that monster has been put exactly where it belongs in the pantheon. Like, it was a fun one-off where they did very non-Godzilla-like things. Like, coming to New York is more like a Kong move. Like, why wouldn't it go to LA? It's like, it's coming from Japan. You know what I mean? It's none of it made sense. Like, that movie, it had moments, but none of it made sense. I liked the creature he devised, but calling it Godzilla was a huge mistake. It was a cool monster, though. Like, why it was Godzilla is beyond me. Like, honestly, the radioactive lizard is not anything you could copyright. I could make a radioactive lizard movie. It would just need to be just a little different from Godzilla. But that Godzilla was that different. I think also the aliens part at the end hurts that movie, where they're fighting the freshly hatched Godzilla things. It's just like Aliens.
Wow.
That seems to have been like filmed later, doesn't it? The part in the Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a troubled movie, but it had some good stuff in it. I liked that monster. It's not Godzilla.
Yep, that's the same opinion that I have. I like the monster, the design, the movement, everything. But it's not
everything about it was great. Yeah. That sequence where they're chasing it through New York, flying like, what was it, 3 or 4 attack helicopters?
Yeah.
And it's just too fast. And it's making too many deft and agile turns. I had an Asian water dragon for many years as a pet. On a good hot day, they'll start running around your apartment like that. So I really loved and appreciated that part. I thought it was great. And his tail was very deadly. He was whipping stuff around, doing some tail whipping that was pretty impressive. That monster had a future.
That creature was twerking like She-Hulk.
It twerked a little better than She-Hulk, but yeah, it was a green twerking giant monster. Let's face it. It deserved a better fate, but once they called it Godzilla, that was it. It was done.
Wow. Well, Martin, do you have anything else that you'd like to?
Oh yeah, but we're at the end of the show.
Oh, wow.
Oh no.
And my second choice is requires a good modicum of time to be explained. So
we'll try to pick this up another time.
Yeah.
Because look, there's a lot of really cool ideas out there. There are a lot of really cool series that could still use our help. And trust me, a lot of them out there really could use our help. But there's also a lot of really cool stuff that's in the pipeline. And with at least one more of the famed JJ Star Trek films on the way. Personally, I would like to see that cast do better. They are a likable cast. They are a fun cast. A lot more chemistry than most JJ cast overall.
That's his strength. He's very, very good at casting, or he has a very, very good casting person. That's saved a couple of shows, and that kept Lost going.
Yeah, it did. Well, then you know what? Let me at least thank the Peter Venkman fan site, Ariel Ballet, because Ariel is so freaking funny. Monkey Jeebus, because Monkey Jeebus is that cool. Shinatsky, because Shinatsky. What can I say?
There's nothing more to say. It's Shinatsky.
Of course, Wolverine 626, because it's Wolverine 626. Andy Morrow, thank you for coming by, Andy. And let's see, who else do we have today?
Oh, I have a list for you in the private chat.
Oh, sorry. There we go. Let's see. We have Zach's Flip City for coming by. Thank you, Flip City Magazine. We really, really, really do appreciate you. Let's see. And course, the Fat Sticks, Cam's Crash Courses, of course, Daryl Brewer, because Daryl is funny. Dragon Ruse, Wolverine 626, Anima Confusa, because Anima's cool. D. Bud Martin, Lady Penny, and a special thank you to Anime Guy and our good buddy Admiral Teague. So, for all those people, for good buddy Martin and myself, that dude named Keith, have a better day. And thank you.
And join me in a little while for Batman Returns.
Yay!
Yeah, good snowed-in movie.
Yes.
Embrace
people.
the cold.
See ya.